I woke up one day and decided to challenge myself as a Pokemon Nuzlocke. I settled on the infamous Emerald Kaizo and made it my mission to play the best that I possibly could. No battle items, no EVs, and the AI was always on high. This is how it went. I started training on Route 111 because the desert Pokemon were strong and the trainers were an absolute breeze. I got everyone to around level 50, then at the Pokemart I found that they sell light balls, reminding me that I had a Pikachu rotting away in the box. No fluff this time, just straight to the Petalburg gym. I read Crit Room and instantly decided that even an Oko room would be better, so I went left. It was a funny surprise that the trainers ambush you even though you're forced to fight them to progress, and I appreciated that the speed trainer was on a bike. Shout out to the developer for that one. Leading the first battle of our gym challenge, Triathlete Randall opened up with the Ninjask, which could be potent if I didn't kill it quickly due to its move pool. I led with Hariyama, not sure what to expect in this gym. It started with the Signal Beam instead of something like a double team or a substitute, so I tanked with no confusion, and my Rock Slide did enormous damage, knocking it out. Girafarig that was coming up next T-Waved me, which made me kinda concerned. But luckily for me, I broke through in order to land the Cross Chop and take the biracial horse out of the picture. Now when Altaria came in, I'll confess that I had a brain lapse and forgot flying was dangerous to me, but I took a chance to Rock Slide the Cloud Dragon through the status while it was setting up on me, and I killed it, so I guess no harm, no foul, or something like that. With Gramble out to intimidate the physical attacker, I resentfully switched out Hariyama for Nidoqueen, forgetting that Fairy isn't a thing yet, but still praying for the poison point. It used a strong facade on me, and like clockwork, Lady Luck kissed my ass again. But it went for Earthquake, and I wasn't aware Granbull could even learn that. Nidoqueen ate it though, and fired off a Stab Sludge Bomb for not nearly enough to stay in. So, after that, in comes Charizard to dodge the Earthquake, but instead, Granbull went for the facade and bitch slapped me for 71%, but the poison damage dropped it low enough for an easy quick attack to put the dog down. Jolteon is the Charizard repellent, so predictably, I go Swampert. It outspeeds next turn and goes Hidden Power, so I was honestly shitting myself. But it wasn't super effective and it was just a crit, so on to the next. I stay on Lanoon thinking I had enough health to tank a hit, but it belly drummed and halves its health, making my job that much easier. First trainer, no problem. I was terrified at the thought that this speed room was code for meth, watching this man pedal at 100 kilometers, not going anywhere. But I digress. One of my options was the confusion room, and honestly that sounded like a nightmare, so I went to check the other door. A stall team isn't bad if I can overpower them and make smart moves, so I went that way. I met with somebody's mom, and thinking how my mom runs her mouth at the store when I want to go home, it fit really well. I got lucky and got a great matchup with Glalie to my Charizard. Prayed Fire Punch would be enough since it's only move I have for Ice and Steel types, and luckily killed it on the first move. Shuckle was next up, so bullshit was inbound. After its Protect, I tried Fire Punching, but couldn't even get a third of its health. It replied with Toxic though, so Charizard's turns were now numbered. I did my best to get in as much damage as I could before I swapped, so that I wasn't wasting, or worse, killing Charizard trying to save him for later. Eventually I just decided it wasn't worth it, so I pivoted to Nidoqueen to remove the Toxic option. Shuckle Sandstorm like a bitch, so this was the perfect swap. It just protected more while I crunched away, and Rust made things tough, so I swapped to Venusaur, who also resisted the poison. The goal was to Rock Smash and drop his defense enough to start making a difference, since it kept using Rest and Protect, and then it finally died. Claydol left faster than it came, so on to Dusclops. I was concerned with the bulk since Leaf Blade was special in this gen, and I didn't want to deal with Will-O-Wisp, so I swapped to Hariyama, where I got the chance to Shadow Punch, but was met with Toxic Stall, so this got really grindy really quick. I kept my head down and grinded until I hammered it away. Blissey was next, but Toxic didn't let me cross chop, so I went to Nidoqueen. I got Charmed, but Poison is special, so it does it easily. Clefable was taking drill runs on the chin and spamming Protect / Seismic Toss. Leftovers didn't make it any better on me, especially combined with Moonlight, so every time I got close to a kill, I got teased and it healed almost to full. Eventually I got sick of it and I went to Swampert hoping to land better hits. The muddy water didn't let me down and got off the accuracy drop, so even getting poisoned, I won that fight easy, putting the stall room behind me. Just to be clear, I had medicine, so I was able to clean Hariyama's poison before I went to the Pokemon Center, so I wouldn't come close to risking him. In the semifinal room, I've decided that I didn't want to be a bitch, so I dove headfirst into the strength duel. Cool Trainer Jody sent out Dodrio against my Swampert lead, so I was feeling pretty confident about this battle. Double Edge overwhelmed me, but did enough recoil for Ice Punch to kill. Venusaur took a HP from Vaporeon and fired off a Leaf Blade that failed to kill. Ice Beam worried me, but I lived to headbutt for a win. I stayed on a Marowak and outsped it for a quick dub. Nidoqueen came to swallow Flareon's overheat and return a Drill Rune at it. Then, Medicham was a Psychic type, but I stayed into Sludge Bomb it, disregarding a Zen Headbutt. It Shadow Balled though, so I won. Zangoose lived the Drill Run and Crush Claws, but I lived on one and got the Poison Point again. As a normal type though, it has Quick Attack, so I used Altaria to snag a win. Now after we've grown and become men with a plethora of difficult battles in our belt, we stand before our father to challenge his strength with the gym badge on the line. I decided to bring Magmar for this with his speed and both his specials being formidable. Then with Smokescreen and Flamethrower, I thought it was powerful. But in a horrifyingly epic twist, I didn't expect Gym Leader Norman to throw me into a double battle. Luckily, Charizard was my second Pokemon. I didn't expect Espeon to go for a skill swap, and that's a deadly combination with its ridiculous speed. But after sitting and thinking for a long time, I figured Espeon might be a distraction, so I used both my Magmar and my Charizard to Smokescreen the Slacking. That way I could afford to ignore it. Espeon lags, so this is a free turn to repeat my strategy, leaving Slacking with about 40% accuracy. Espeon sits there skill swapping again, either to psych me out or because it's a troll with no other moves. Regardless, Slacking is at about 28% now, so it should be missing enough moves for me to get rid of the other threats first. I finally start attacking the Espeon with a double whammy of stab fire type attacks, but it lived with red health. Next turn is a freebie though, so I wing attack to save power points so that Magmar can aim his next attack on the incoming Pokemon. I didn't expect Snorlax, but in case of a big threat swapping in, I had confused the Slacking so it can miss or kill itself for me. Sadly, I forgot most enemies have Lumberries, but with my speed, this wouldn't be a big problem for once. I focus on chipping away at the Snorlax because the quicker I get rid of it, the better. Meanwhile, Magmar lands a confusion on the Slacking, putting it in a bind, while I get to sit at full health. And it worked because Slacking hurt itself. Snorlax didn't attack, but it did curse, so I had to be extremely cautious from now on because it could easily one-shot something if I'm not paying attention. The leftovers were going to be annoying too, so I start Smokescreening with the last of my PP so that Snorlax could be a little less threatening for me while I finish off Slacking once and for all. It got a second curse up, but thankfully fire types hit specially, so it wouldn't be too problematic for now. But Slacking finally landed his first attack, a Crush Claw that blindsided and buried Magmar all with the same move. But it died fighting because, like the god I am, it burned Slacking, which would cut his attack and kill him off faster. For its second move, Snorlax stockpiled, so its defense is going to be annoying, but Grass is also special in this gen. Slacking's still fighting Vertigo, and like a blessing, the ghost of Mr. Magmar bitch slaps him to hammer away from the great beyond. I opt for Sludge Bomb because I would appreciate the poison odds over the crit odds, but against the resting Pokemon, it's all insignificant. Inspired by Magmar's death, Charizard lands a burn on the next Fire Punch, so both fat asses are burning calories. I go in for the Leaf Blade on a whim this turn, and now Snorlax is down to the yellow. It went to Curse too, so if it hit hard enough, it could die before its turn comes around. The next Fire Punch leaves it just outside the limits of red health. Another Crush Claw misses, and it's Venusaur's turn. I go for Leaf Blade, depending on Sora to cut the fat cap off this motherfucker and put him in a coffin where he belongs, but I fell shy of less than 10%, allowing it to revive itself with rest and cure the burn. In terms of Snorlax, it was back to square one, so I switched to Swampert, who had slightly higher offensive stats than Venusaur, and like an idiot, I wasted a turn with Wing Attack. Through Ashy Eyelids, Slacking hit yet another Crush Claw, this time on Charizard, trying to finish where it left off, but Mr. Magmar lives on, reducing his attack, letting me live with over 50%. Kangaskhan came in now, but not knowing what to expect, I used Rock Slide to try to hit both candidates. I landed a crit on Snorlax and did more to Kanga than I thought. I also flinched Snorlax, which inspired an idea for me. I trade Charizard for Venusaur so I could have 2 Mons who could live Kanga's attacks, and falling victim to Crush Claw, Venusaur lived with over 50%. Swampert attacks both players with Muddy Water, aiming not just for splash damage, but an accuracy drop with some luck. Snorlax used Snore, but it had just woken up, so it failed. This told me that Snorlax didn't have any attacking moves if it wasn't asleep, and I smokescreened it a bit earlier so I could ignore it and focus on the rest of the team. Kangaskhan critted Swampert to near death, but Mama Ru wasn't strong enough to take the ass whooping of Leaf Blade and Mud Shot, burying it with its orphan child and clearing it from the field. Swellow was an interesting Pokemon to see because Swampert was in critical and Venusaur is weak to flying, so I had to step back. I predicted Swampert being targeted, so I risked Charizard, and to my surprise, it had HP Ground, so I got a perfectly clean switch. Of course, Venusaur was going to do his part and Sludge Bomb the bird's wings to drag it down to half-life. I expected the flying attack now, so I bust out Nidoqueen with its respectable 95 defense. Luckily for me, Sky Attack does recoil in exchange for charging, so it was for sure low enough for Charizard to knock it back to wherever the fuck it got the idea that it could do something here. Tauros was out, and I can't lie when I say it made me pretty nervous since I respect its offense, especially when combined with the fact that it had Intimidate. Snorlax was still trying to snore like a dumbass, so I decided to focus my attention on taking out Tauros first. I got in Fire Punch but failed to burn, and it retaliated with the super effective Earth Power on Nidoqueen. She toughed it out though, and fired back with the Body Slam, even going so far as landing a Paralysis. As we all know though, Tauros had a Lumberry, but it was pretty cool to see. I go into Venusaur since it has more defense and ground hits neutral. It went for a quick attack instead to try and snipe, so I was happy with that and served him a perfect medium rare with one last Fire Punch to the fucking face. Now, with all threats out of the way, I was able to use Charizard and Venusaur to slash and burn at Snorlax, but all the defense boosts it got were making it difficult to achieve any real damage. I swapped Charizard for Swampert though because both Rock Slide and Headbutt give me a flinch chance, so when it wasn't flinching, it was missing Snore due to smokescreens from before. I was in a grind situation that went on for about 10 minutes, but I eventually randomly went for an Ice Punch while it was awake, and I hit the freeze. It finally fell once and for all. Although I lost Magmar, and I was really sad about that, regardless, at the end of the day, we had our 5th gym badge.